Every Fallout game has a variety of factions with different ideologies and motivations. It's part of what makes Fallout Fallout. Yet, for the first 4 good Fallout games, you are still following the story from one faction's point of view. New Vegas revolutionized this by giving each of the 4 factions in that game their own story that you could follow, so that you could decide what was best for the wasteland, or you could just watch it burn. Either way, you felt like each choice meant something, and while there were some shortcomings, no faction was necessarily evil or good. All they wanted was to better the world, just through different means. Seeing the success of New Vegas, Bethesda sought to add their own multitude of factions to the next Fallout game, which would become Fallout 4. Unfortunately, it turned out as well as you would expect. The point of this video isn't just to crap on Fallout 4, although that is rather fun. I will try to add constructive criticism where I can. The first faction I want to highlight is the Institute. The main problem with this faction is they are arguably the most evil faction in all of Fallout, and you can't really argue they're at all good. Compare this to New Vegas with the Legion. They're the easiest faction to consider evil, yet there can still be a case made for their necessity. The Institute is just downright evil. Apart from not helping anyone but themselves with their technology, which could be considered just neutral, they actively harm the Commonwealth. Often the Institute will kidnap people from the Commonwealth and replace them with synthetic versions of themselves under the Institute's control. This can be done for strategic reasons, or it can be done simply for an experiment. But what does the Institute do with these people they kidnap? They experiment on them with the forced evolutionary virus and turn them into super mutants. So add kidnapping and human experimentation to the list of no-nos. What else could they possibly do? Well, the super mutants they create, instead of killing them after they get the results, the Institute goes out of their way to release them into the Commonwealth, where all the super mutants do is wreak havoc on the population. There really isn't any reason for siding with the Institute unless you just like killing everyone. Even then, there's more effective ways of doing that. Almost every faction is going to lean towards a moral side, yet they should always have attributes that demonstrate the opposite side of a moral compass. The Institute unfortunately just doesn't have this. Logically, the next faction to cover would be the Railroad. Considering how every other faction enslaves or despises synths, there would be at least one faction that was friendly towards them. The problem, however, is the Railroad's only goal is to free the synths from the Institute. This faction only exists to conflict with another. Once the Institute is destroyed and the synths are freed, what's the point of the Railroad? They have no long-term goal. They'll most likely just stop operating after the events of Fallout 4. It would make more sense if it was a faction more like the followers of the Apocalypse. Their entire goal was just to help everyone, and the best way to do this was to rid the Commonwealth of the Institute and use their technology for the good of the Commonwealth. Rather than saving synths being the Railroad's only purpose, it could be under their larger goal. If they want to help everyone, then they would want to help synths too. Up next is the Minutemen. I actually like this faction. It serves a fine role as a people's militia and makes use of one of the only interesting parts of Boston, that being its history in the American Revolution. I mean, maybe the laser muskets are a bit too far, but for the most part, the Minutemen are a balanced faction. It's overall a good faction, but it still possesses all the problems of regular citizens of the Commonwealth, as it's made up of them. Last up, we have the Brotherhood. The Brotherhood in Fallout 4 is quite strange. Bethesda clearly made the Brotherhood too good in Fallout 3. They didn't have any flaws, basically. Then Obsidian came in with New Vegas and showed all the conflicts and struggles the Brotherhood has to go through. So it seems that in Fallout 4, Bethesda tried too hard to reverse their mistake. The Brotherhood is a little radical, to say the least. Bethesda tried to make them as evil as possible. They are goddamn Nazis now. They hate all ghouls, super mutants, and synths, and consider them abominations. Which, first of all, what's the problem with that? I don't know about anyone else, but I'm not completely opposed to killing creatures that literally only seek to kill me or you. Super mutants and feral ghouls will always attempt to kill you, and can't be reasoned with, except for special cases like Strong. Non-feral ghouls are still discriminated against, but they aren't killed on sight. Discriminating against ghouls is a downside for the Brotherhood, but it baffles me how they try to play off hating super mutants and feral ghouls as bad. Can someone remind me how the Enclave was always too evil to be a playable faction? The whole reason the Brotherhood is even in the Commonwealth doesn't really add up. The Brotherhood claims that the Institute and the Synths are technology run amok, that they need to be destroyed to protect humanity. This really goes against the Brotherhood's ideology of hoarding all technology and using it to their advantage. Their whole organization is built on worshipping technology, yet they would just destroy the most advanced technology they've ever encountered. Sure, it makes sense that the other two factions would want the Institute destroyed, but the Brotherhood's goal should really be to capture the Institute's technology rather than destroying it. On the bright side, I think that Fallout 76's depiction of the Brotherhood in both cases is definitely an improvement. But what do you think? Are the factions in Fallout 4 innovative and new, or are they just plain bad? Yes, I did reach 1,000 subscribers. Thank you everyone for your support. I will address the situation and what I guess will be happening from now on in a video tomorrow or the day after. I did just want to get out another actual video before then. And I should have a short Fallout video coming out this week, hopefully this week. After that, I will be taking a little longer to make something bigger. So until I see you next, have a good day.